honor this, from what I understand, spectacular young man in the way we were able to do that is just awesome. And then for Anthony and Elijah's mom to be together on the field like that after the game, I'm really just proud of it. You know, I wasn't involved in it. I didn't know a lot about it. I knew what had happened, but I didn't know what we were doing for the game until after the game. And to see it come together so quickly like it did just makes me really proud of our organization and everybody involved, and also the mayor's office and the school district and the school and everybody involved. So this is a great young man. It's a tragic accident. It's a wonderful family. Our hearts go out to him, and just thankful that we were able to do something to honor this young man. Okay, what questions you have?
John, defensively, a strong effort. When watching the film, what kind of just stood out to you in the key to that defensive effort?
Well, the biggest thing was we were able to take away the things that they did so well, and that's what you try to do. And we pretty much were able to do it across the board. It's a credit to our coaches and our players. You know, they have two great receivers. Both of those guys were taken out of the game by our corners. They did a great job. Marlon played excellent, and so did Anthony. You know, so. They were gloves pretty much the whole game. And then we were able to take Eckler out of the game in terms of all the things they do with the screens and the check down passes and the crossing routes. I think he caught one on us. He caught us in a particular blitz that doesn't account for the back quite as well. And Marlon still almost got him, you know. And that's the only one they had the whole game, really. Tight ends, you know, the seam routes for Deshaun to make that play. And we had a couple coverages that were locked in on them in terms of linebackers covering those guys. I thought they did a good job. We had safeties covering Eckler. We just had some really good ideas, and they were executed really well. It starts with stopping the run game. We did that as well. So across the board, I thought we did a great job handling their offense.
Coach, what do you see from them maybe at the left side of their defensive line where you guys could exploit that the way you were able to with your run game?
Yeah, you know, I don't think we were really planning on the left side or the right side as much as we were just planning on running the plays that we thought were going to be good against the fronts that they ran. And it just kind of might have turned out left side or right side. Now, Greg might be holding something back. You can ask him on Thursday. Maybe he did have a plan. But, you know, I thought we just did a good job of recognizing their fronts. They came out with a little bit of a different personnel grouping. They put Bosa inside sometimes and tried to create some situations where he could make some plays in there. But our tackles were just phenomenal. Both of our tackles, Alejandro and Patrick, were great, both run and pass. And they pretty much neutralized their pass rush. So just proud of those guys.
Coach, Rashod Bateman kind of surprised everybody that he got 45 snaps, 4 catches for first downs. That tells you how much preparation he had because he kind of replicates what Samuel Watkins did.
Right. To see 45 snaps, it was surprising. I mean, there's no question about it. I don't think that was really the plan either, but he was playing so well, and he came out there and just did a great job. And you know, he had some assignment things, and he had some alignment things that, you know, happens to receivers. I mean, even the veteran receivers, they have so many complications in terms of some of the details that go with that position, especially in our offense. But he made the catches he had to make until the end, so we'll keep reminding him of that one. But I thought he played really well. It wasn't too big for him. He handled the speed of the game just fine, so it's a really good start.
Now you bring in college coaches as receiver coaches. Were you concerned about that mix? Sometimes that college game different from the NFL game.
Yeah, something to think about for sure. You know, I don't think there's any doubt about it, Mike, that it was a thought. But once I met the guys and we kind of figured out what their roles were going to be, just in terms of who they were, I feel like who they were and what their strengths were kind of set the job descriptions more than anything. You know, T's been in the NFL. He knows the NFL. He played in the NFL. He's a lot of ties to the NFL. So I felt like he had a really good feel for that already. Keith has worked with NFL players, so he had that part of it. He's more working with the guys, and T had a good feel for the scheme stuff, and he's been an offensive coordinator before. So it's worked out great. You know, whatever concerns you might have had have not turned out to be a problem, so I'm really happy about that too.
So how do you go about installing your game plans? Is it everybody sits around and has an input and then you eventually sign off and Greg Roman gives it to you? Or how do you work that?
Yeah, it's just a process. You know, Greg runs the show with the offense in terms of the game planning. It's his vision, I would say, in terms of, you know, the specific game planning type of stuff. You know, I'm tagging along as much as I can in terms of, you know, checking the drawings and listening to the installs and asking them the questions. Sometimes I'll come in with my ideas early on in terms of big picture stuff. You know, I don't give them too many plays. Every now and then I'll give them a play, and when I give them a play, I expect it to be installed, just for the record. You know what I mean? Doesn't always get called, but at least it better be installed, right? But those guys have done a great job, and, you know, just got to keep going.
That's when you do the big picture stuff. You don't give it to us. You save it for them.
Of course not.
John, you made the move with Josh Bynes, inserting him at middle linebacker. How do you think he did? And just what do you like about him there? I mean, a couple years ago, you made an adjustment, in similar circumstances.
I mean, his story is just incredible. You know, we've had some young linebackers in here ever since CJ left, and you know, there's a process going on there. We've had to be bailed out a couple of times, quite honestly. You know, Josh and LJ, and then Josh again. So we're very grateful that those guys were here, and I thought Josh did a really nice job of just calming things down. You know, Patrick played a lot. He played Will, you know, when Josh played Mike, and then Harrison played Will, and Chris played Will, and Harrison played a little bit of Mike, and those guys were kind of moving around in there. And I just felt like we just kind of settled everybody into a good place where they could take a deep breath and just play football. The tackling was better, the assignments were better, the fits were better. Everything was just more settled down. So now we go from there.
As a coach, when
John, you talked about Queen. We talked to you about him last week. He didn't play a lot of snaps, I think partly because of the thigh injury, I assume, but it seemed like he did make some nice plays. I mean, did you see some promising signs from him yesterday?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he had like 24 snaps, something like that. It was between 18 and 24 off the top of my head.
19,
Okay.
something like that.
In that neighborhood. It would have been, you know, more, obviously, without the thigh, but it was a good number. We didn't really have a pitch count on him or any of the guys. We just had him in personnel groupings, and you see how it goes. But absolutely, I think he played with confidence. I think the pressure was off him just a little bit with some of the calls that have to be made in there, and freed him up a little bit. But, you know, okay, next week's a new week, and let's keep improving.
As a coach, when you look at the film, and I talk about all three phases, was that pretty complete from what you saw, including special teams? We've talked about the defense a lot too.
Right, it was pretty complete. You know, it was kind of the kind of way you want to play. It wasn't perfect by any stretch. I mean, offensively, if you look at the downside, we probably had 5 series in there where we could have been a lot better, and that we'll be looking at those really closely. Defensively, probably less issues. We were pretty dominant there, but there are plays and there are things that we can do better. In special teams, we were looking for a dominant game there, you know, and the return game, the coverage, and the field goal stuff was all, you know, I didn't really see any negatives in that. So that's a good place to be for this week, you know, and hopefully we can keep building on that for next week.
John,
Go ahead.
John, before the season, the ESPN report came out that some executives believe that they had figured Lamar Jackson out through these 6 games. What have you seen differently from defense, and how do you think he's played against that?
Well, I think he's played phenomenally well. You know, we've seen some different things from defenses. I think we've seen the same kind of basic principles that we saw for the last 2.5, 3 years. It's oftentimes something different, related around whatever their base structure and their principles are. So we never see the exact same thing from any team that we've been seeing on tape. We always see something different. We did even this week, and we kind of expect that now. We plan for that. We're starting to see kind of all the options, but just when we think we've seen it all, we see something different. You know, so I think Lamar's handled it great, and our offensive line has handled it great, and our coaches have handled it great. But it doesn't mean, you know, all of a sudden you don't get shocked by something. But I don't think once somebody does something, some X and O idea, all of a sudden that's the answer. And we've kind of been saying that for 3 years now. There is no answer. You know, you've got to play well, you've got to execute. And so it's our players executing against their players within the structure, whatever they're doing and we're doing. And whoever executes better and makes plays, really in the end, is going to win. And you know, when we play well, we're doing that. When we don't play well, we're not doing that. And it's less about figuring somebody out. So I do think if you're looking for your headline here, you know, I do think that people who make those statements are kind of, you know, whistling in the graveyard just a little bit. You know, it doesn't have any meaning. I've said that before. You know, anybody that knows X and O's would just kind of roll their eyes when they hear something like that.
That's what I was going to say. In your 30 years of coaching, have you ever seen a quarterback figured out by any other team or yours?
No. I mean, you just play well, and you play your defense against their offense, and whoever plays better and executes better, makes plays, are the ones that, you know, have the success.
And so that you guys had to basically start over at running back because of the injuries and bring in the new veterans. All 3 of them found the end zone yesterday. What's stood out to you about that group up to this point and yesterday?
I think just the veteran presence and you know, understanding the game and kind of the know-how. You know, they're guys who've been around and they know how to play the game. We've thrown a lot at them because there's a lot in our offense, and they've had to learn a lot. But they bring a lot to the table already in terms of understanding knowledge. They're playing their styles. They're fitting them into our scheme, and they've done a great job. All 3 of those guys. I mean, I mentioned every one of those 3 guys have done a great job.
John, any update? Speaking of the running backs, on Latavius Murray and his ankle.
No update right now. Yeah.
John, what about, we haven't asked you in so long about Ronnie Stanley. Is there any resolution there?
I think we're nearing one, but I don't have anything to announce at this time.
John, from Monday to Sunday, I guess what stood out to you guys about how much you improved in terms of defending play action?
From Monday to Sunday, defending play action. Were we better in stats defending play action? I guess that's kind of where that's coming from. Yeah. You know, I don't think there's any grand answer for that. We played our defense really well. I thought we got decent pressure. You know, you got to play the run first, and then you got to transition to the pass rush. We did a pretty good job of that. Every couple times they ran boots, we had pressure on them on the edge. You didn't have a lot of time out there on the boots. I think he got out of the pocket once and scrambled. That was a drop back pass. And we played our coverages really well. We were in man a lot. You know, our guys played really tight man quite a bit, and we were in a little bit of a matchup zone a few times where we played tight coverage. So that's probably your answer on that.
Coach, you guys moving to this week play the Bengals. The last couple of years, this Bengals team hasn't looked like they do this year. What kind of challenges do you think they present, especially with the addition of Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I think the whole team is one of the best teams in the National Football League right now. There's no question about it. I mean, just watch them play, you know, and they've done a great job across the board in terms of how they're playing this year. That's all we look at. You know, there is no comparison to anything else. We can compare them to the teams they had in the mid-teens. You know, they had great teams. So there's no comparison. Just look at the team as it stands. The defense is playing great football. The offensive line is run blocking and pass blocking. Balls come out of the quarterback's hands quick. The running backs are, I mean, they're kind of beastly in the way they run. We've got our hands full, and it's going to be a division AFC North Division showdown really, and whoever wins is going to be leading the division kind of at the midway point of the season. So we understand that, but we've always understood that. You know, Bengals, Browns, and Steelers, all these games are like that. No matter what, the records really don't matter. These are the kind of games that you expect. So we're excited about it, and we understand the challenge that's in front of us.
John, through about 6 weeks of the season, when you came into it, Patrick McCarry was kind of competing around at the interior positions. Now you have a good sample size of him playing right tackle. What have you seen from him? What stood out?
I've seen a guy that's just playing a position about, really, in all honesty, about as well as you could expect it to be played. I mean, he's getting the job done. So I texted him. I said, just another, how did I say it? Can't remember the word I used, but it was along the lines of spectacular. He's just played great, you know, and he's going to have a big challenge this week ahead of him too. But couldn't be more pleased with him. You know, run blocking, pass protection, his versatility obviously, but he's locked in at right tackle, and couldn't ask for a better player there right now.
All right.
All right, thanks. Okay.